welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Hello and welcome to the Skeptic Zone, episode number 274 for the 17th of January 2014. Richard Saunders here with you from Sydney, Australia, which is one of the few places in Australia not really getting the full horror of the current heat wave. And my thoughts go out to those people in South Australia and Victoria. And as I speak, there are people in Victoria being told to batten down the hatches, don't leave their homes because it's too late, the fire's approaching. It's not a good situation, my friends. You may wish to check your news resources on the internet to see what the fire situation is in Australia. It's been bloody hot. But what's coming up on this week's episode of the Skeptic Zone? I catch up to a very dear old friend of mine, Susan Gerbic from the Guerrilla Skepticism outreach program initiative. It's so fun. It's so nice to see Susan at the amazing meetings in Las Vegas from time to time. She's always so happy and friendly and so enthusiastic and keen to do things. She's a real inspiration. Susan's going to tell us all about the current state of guerrilla skepticism and what you can do to help. And also we're going to discuss her approach, her journey, if you want to use that terminology, through her recent breast cancer treatment, resulting in her loss of hair and how she's dealt with that. Again, Susan, you're an inspiration. Following that, it's a week in science from our good friends at the Royal Institution of Australia, www.riaus.org.au. This week, the Royal Institution are going to be looking at the Drake equation. Is there life out there, folks? Is there life out there on other planets? Well, duh. I probably would have to say yes. Somewhere in the vastness of space, there must be, even if it's a microbe. That's coming up in a week in science from the Royal Institution of Australia. And to round off the show, Maynard's spooky action. More fantastic interviews from the Australian Skeptics National Convention held just last year in Canberra. This week, Maynard chats to Skeptic of the Year, Professor Simon Chapman, and they'll discuss his work in relation to science outreach and health matters. Maynard also speaks to Cris, Director of the CSIRO Discovery Centre, and he and Maynard take a very close look at the Land Research Mural, a very famous mural in Canberra, all about science. It's a fantastic thing to see. And if you go to www.skepticzone.tv, just scroll down to the show notes for this episode, you can click on a link and see this mural for yourself. And Maynard also talks to Dan Buzzard about his activities and his work in fighting the anti-vaccination movement. And just before we get into the show, it was such a pleasure to see Dr. Simon Singh here in Sydney just last week. What a wonderful man he is. And I was very happy to give him a present for his son Harry, who's only, I think, 3 or 4, very young. I gave him a copy of a DVD I did some years ago with a very good friend of mine, Gary Clark, all about how to make origami. And I was delighted that Simon tweeted about that. If you're interested, it's called DVD Origami. Myself and Gary Clark teach you how to make 20 origami models, everything from birds to dinosaurs to hats. Step-by-step instructions. If you go to www.skepticzone.tv, just scroll down, and on the left you'll see DVD Origami. You might enjoy it. And also I see in the news just today that there's been, and I hate to use this term, I really do, a breakthrough in medicine when it comes to restoring vision using gene therapy. Wow, what an exciting time to live. Let's see superstition top that. But for now, I'm going to run to the fridge, have some more ice water. In fact, I'm going to cheat. I have some right here in this bottle. It's that sort of a day, folks. I might even also have a peanut butter sandwich. Or a peanut butter and golden syrup sandwich. Wow, decadent. Well, I'm doing that. I hope you enjoy the Skeptic Zone. now all the way from sunny, spectacular, well, it's a bit cool this time of the year, California. It's Susan Gerbic. Hello, Susan.
Hi, Richard.
It's really nice to see you, just for the benefit of our listeners, because we're actually videoing each other at the moment, and there you are, beaming away at me, so to speak. Listen, I wanted to catch up with you for a long time now, because I do play the little clips and ads on the Skeptic Zone for Guerrilla Skepticism. So can you give our listeners a bit of an overview on how that's all going?
How it's going, and we do appreciate it. I get listeners of yours every so often who will write to me and volunteer their services, so we really do appreciate it. So you want to know how we're going? Well, we're going great. It's actually going very well, but I need a lot more volunteers, because it is, being a volunteer organization, it's a little difficult to force people to edit Wikipedia, and once they volunteer, they end up getting a little busy sometimes, and there's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, there sure is, and I can appreciate what you're saying. When you're working with a lot of volunteers, you can't really make them do something. I mean, people do this out of the goodness of their hearts, if their hearts are in it, of course. And you're getting a lot of people all around the world helping you out, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I just got another editor from another Spanish editor. This one's in Uruguay, and I have now 2 Hebrew editors. And and it's great because we are able to converse. This is kind of a perfect storm project. We would never have been able to do this without without email, without Facebook, without things like Skype. Because we can converse in real time with everyone, everywhere. And it's just amazing to be able to do that kind of thing. We couldn't have done this 10 or 15 years ago. Well, Wikipedia didn't really exist 10 years ago, but 11 years ago is, I think, when it started. But it's only something this is a project that only can be done now with the tools that we have.
I think you're absolutely right. It's sort of a very appropriate thing for the time. Now, for those listeners who are relatively new to the Skeptic Zone, what you're doing is you're getting people from all around the world who speak all sorts of different languages to come in and really do international versions of Wikipedia sites, aren't you? Wikipedia pages.
Mm-hmm. That's right. We're trying to rewrite Wikipedia using a focus on scientific skepticism, and we're trying to do it in all languages. We have a project called We Got Your Wiki Back, which seems to be our most popular. And what we do is we try to take prominent skeptics who've written books or who do podcasts or who are doing research, investigations, that kind of thing. And we're trying to give those pages a boost and try to improve them. We also do a lot of scientist pages. The scientists we usually choose are people who have lectured for the skeptical community, and so on. So our goal is to, when that person is in the media's eye, maybe they're doing a program for Nova, or they have a book or a research project coming out or something like that, they're going to be in the public's eye. And we want people to be able to Google the person's name. They're going to get a Wikipedia page, probably, most likely. Everybody knows that's one of the first hits they get, and people are going to go check them out. We want to make sure that page is in really great shape. It's really it shows some respect, shows that they're notable, shows that their opinion is important, so that when Mr. and Mrs. Public looks at this Wikipedia page and they're watching the person on Nova or wherever, National Geographic, or a podcast or whatever, they'll be able to know that this person is reputable.
Absolutely. Now, apart from this ongoing project, which has sort of become a bit of a passion of yours, I can tell, you are currently undergoing a bit of treatment yourself. And for those listeners who may not realize, what's the process you're going through? What's happening to you right now?
Oh, yes, I have. Well, I guess I had breast cancer. I think it's gone now. They say it's gone, but we don't know for sure. I had 20 weeks of chemo.
Wow.
I have stage 2 breast cancer, and I'm very public about it. I'm not shy about it at all. And right now I'm going through radiation. I've completely finished the chemo, which was 16 treatments. It was quite an adventure, and not something that I would gladly do again for the heck of it, but, it wasn't as bad as I had been, I had thought it would be, considering, just how bad cancer seems to be. It really wasn't that bad. I mean, it was bad, but it wasn't that bad.
I think for the people like you, each year that passes, the treatment gets better and better, and the side effects can be managed more successfully, I think. But you've certainly been upfront about it, to the extent I think you're having as much fun as anybody can have with this by posting very interesting photographs of yourself. I think the last one that really caught my eye, you were done up as Nosferatu, which was quite stunning.
Oh, that was great. And you know what? That was so much fun. It's my boyfriend, Mark Edward. He was here visiting me. He lives about 300 miles away. So when we're together, we do have a lot of fun. He said, I have lost my eyebrows and my eyelashes, and women just look really different when they don't have eyelashes and eyebrows. And I don't have, my fingernails are almost all gone too, from the chemo. So they're growing out now, but I can't really put on fake eyelashes or anything like that because I don't have fingernails. So it's really kind of weird. But anyway, one day I was trying to put some makeup on when he was here, and I said, how do I look? And he says, you look like Uncle Fester. So he said, you know what? Why don't we take a photo? Would you be game for that? And I said, sure. So we dressed me up as Uncle Fester and put a light bulb in my mouth, and that was kind of the start of it. Somebody on Facebook, when I put up the Uncle Fester photo, said that he would give $100 to his local cancer treatment center in his town in Arkansas if I dressed up as say his name for me.
Nosferatu.
Yeah, I'd never heard of him before. And so I waited a few days and we played around with it, and I did. We went and took portraits down at a very public place that had an archway that kind of fit the theme. And I posted up on Facebook, and that person donated $250 to his cancer treatment center in his town. He thought it was so great. He said I'd gone over the top and had done a better job. And then I did one right after that of Dr. Evil, and I didn't really like the way that one came out, but I have been having as much fun as I possibly can because I don't plan on being bald again.
Well, I think that's a wonderful attitude to have, and it's one of the themes that comes up. There's this idea at large that to help you get through something like cancer or whatever it is, if you have this great positive attitude, that's going to help you fight the cancer and win. But as we all know, having a positive attitude really just helps you get through the process more than anything else.
You're 100% right, and I think that's a really good thing to raise. I felt bad throughout the whole time that I've been public because I felt that having if I have a really good day and I'm talking about it, then I feel like I'm almost telling people who have cancer that are having bad days that there's something wrong with them, that they're not thinking positively enough or something like that. And I feel really self-conscious. But once you start making posts on Facebook or Twitter about it, and people are writing to me and telling me how much they enjoy the photos and my attitude, and then people start telling me things like, you're a hero and you're so this and you're so that. And I'm thinking, I'm doing nothing. I'm just, trying to have a positive attitude about it. It is the scientists. It is those people behind the scenes who are doing everything. The fact that I didn't have any nausea the whole time. In fact, I gained weight and too much weight. But it's science that did it for me. And then the people who are working at the clinic and all those people with their positive attitudes, that's what's getting me through too. And my friends, oh my gosh, everybody's been so wonderful. So, and I didn't really want to post if I had a kind of a bad day because I didn't want to turn anybody away, make them think that, I should never have chemo because, she's going to lose her fingernails or you're going to do this. And it's very, very rare that somebody loses their fingernails as much as I have. That's very rare. So I just happen to be an exception. So don't freak out if you think you're going to have chemo and you're going to think you're going to lose your fingernails. It's really, really unusual. Okay, guys. So, I mean, really, I haven't done much of anything except just, play it for all it's worth. But you're absolutely right, Richard. Having a positive attitude will get you through the treatment. I learned over and over and over that when you are, that if you're going through chemo's the hard stuff, radiation's nothing. If you're going through chemo, you need to go to work, you need to get up, you need to go for walks, you need to wash your dishes, you need to clean your house, you need to pet your cat, you need to go out with friends, go to the movies, you need to be active, because when you're like that and you hang out with people who are fun and you can laugh and that kind of thing, you will get through the chemo so much easier. It's when you come home and you sit on the couch and you watch TV and you start to get a little depressed. It's not good for you. They explained it to me saying that your body creates a natural steroid when you're active. And the steroids really help you get through the process, that kind of natural thing. And so, anybody who's listening who's going to be going through this process, just really do everything you can to get up and keep active and hang out with people that are fun.
I think that's just wonderful advice. And that, coupled with the fact that every year scientific advancements in medicine make it better and easier for people like yourself, I think that should give everybody heart, I think.
Mm-hmm. And stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, they can fix almost anything these days, you guys. Really, it's not... Cancer is not the disease that I was raised to believe was so horrible. My father died of cancer, not the same kind of thing. But when he died, we weren't even allowed to mention the word. And he died in 1989, and we couldn't put it in the obituary. It was a whispered word. You did not know. It was horrible. It was like a very, very bad thing to say. So nowadays it's like, hey, I've got breast cancer. Totally changed.
Well, that's absolutely a wonderful attitude to have. Now, Susan, how can people, getting back to our original topic, how can people continue to help out the Guerrilla Skepticism project?
Oh my gosh, Richard, I'm so glad you asked. We really need people to help us out. They can write to us at GSoWteam@gmail.com, and what we're going to do is we're going to ask you to open a Wikipedia account and let me know where you heard about us, and to let me know what language you want to edit in, and then we'll put you through training. You'll have to go to our forum, which we'll give you the link to because it's a super secret forum, and then you'll be able to come in there and we'll start you out with process you through the training, and it's a lot of fun. It's a community. And you'll have a really great time, and you'll learn how to change the world one Wikipedia page at a time.
That sounds good. Well, Susan, I'm so pleased that you're on the job, as it were. You're on the case. You're keeping at it, despite everything that you've been going through. I look forward to seeing more wacky pictures of you until your hair grows back, and then maybe when it starts to grow back, you can even have some more fun with it. I'm not sure.
Oh, I don't know. I'll be a normal human being back then, but it sure really has been kind of fun. Seriously, you guys, I think every woman should shave her head at some point in her life, and not just because she has cancer, but I think it's a really interesting social experiment, and it really makes you think about what is beauty and what really is, how you feel about yourself and these kinds of things. It's been a life-changing experience, trust me, not just having cancer, but, losing your hair is something else, let me tell you. But I think most women should do it just at some time in their life. I think it would be something that they will look back on with fond memories.
No, there we go. If we see lots of women in the street with bald heads next week, we'll know who to blame.
Okay, that's fine.
Susan Gerbic, with that great attitude, thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard.
It never ends. A friend starts talking about his new Reiki master, and someone else just posted about another all-natural cancer cure. that they don't want you to know about. As skeptics, we spend a lot of time trying to educate and protect those around us, but there is a way that you can reach millions. Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia is a group working to keep the best skeptical information at everyone's fingertips. Join us. We need writers, editors, translators. We need you. To join us or find out more, send a Facebook friend request to Susan Gerbic. That's Gerbic. Guerrilla Skepticism. The time is now.
Hi, this is Lauren Cochrane, President of Canberra Skeptics. Our next meetup will be our annual social function on the 19th of January, 1 p.m. in the barbecue area behind Questacon. This event is BYO. Following the barbecue, Questacon will be holding a free screening of the documentary Flock of Dodos. Produced by filmmaker and evolutionary ecologist Dr. Randy Olson, this documentary takes a look at the evolution versus intelligent design controversy. For more information about this and other Canberra Skeptics events, look for us on Facebook, Twitter, Meetup, or visit canberraskeptics.org.au. Barcamp Canberra is back again for 2014. We welcome anyone interested in science communication, skepticism, maker or hacker culture, social innovation, Gov 2.0, or the web to come along. Be ready to participate. Anyone can give a talk during the 20-minute sessions. This year, Barcamp Canberra will be held at the Gungahlin Library on the 15th of March. As always, entry is free. For more information, visit barcampcanberra.org.
Welcome to A Week in Science from RiAus, bringing you the science you need to know. Have you ever wondered if there's life out there? Well, believe it or not, there's actually an equation to work out the probability of extraterrestrial life, and it's called the Drake equation. So there's this astronomer named Frank Drake, who back in 1959 started searching the universe for signals which may indicate the presence of intelligent life. Then in 1961, he was helping organise a conference and started thinking about all the factors which would need to be considered when trying to predict whether intelligent life was out there. What he came up with is this equation, which multiplies together the rate of star formation, the fraction of those stars which have planets, how many of those planets that could support life, the fraction of planets which could support life that actually develop life at some point, the fraction of civilizations that develop a technology that releases detectable signs of their existence into space, and the length of time for which such civilizations release detectable signals into space. Now, obviously some of those factors are measurable or can be calculated, but some we just don't know. I mean, how do you know how many planets with life go on to develop a civilization? Or how many of those develop technology which releases detectable signals? Because of these limitations, the Drake equation isn't really used to predict the abundance of life out there. But it is an interesting equation to just contemplate when thinking about life in the universe and what is required for us to find it. And now, 4 fast facts about the search for life on other planets. The Voyager space probes carry records which contain information about Earth and humans, in case it meets other life forms. Part of the Curiosity rover mission is to search for water on Mars, which could support the presence of life. The zone surrounding a star which gives planetary conditions which are just right for life is called the Goldilocks zone. And one problem of searching for life in the universe is that life may exist in a form we don't recognise as being alive, or in places we don't realise can even support life. That's it for this week in science. If you want to find out more about the search for life on other planets, check out our website, riaus.org.au, where we have some links. Follow us on Twitter at RiAus and like us on Facebook. I'm Ben Lewis, and we'll catch you right back here next week.
In a world where the truth is a matter of opinion, where messages are received from beyond the grave, and reason is sidelined for magical thinking. Only 3 men stand between the truth and a postmodernist abyss.
What date is it? 7th, 8th? 7th, 8th?
This is impressive.
Are these artist impressions?
They're not. They're photographs of Chinese lanterns.
It's not. It's not.
We are not well researched.
Yeah, because
Good God, we're full
we
of
don't discuss cryptozoology on this show very often because we don't know anything about it.
That's true. That is true.
The price gets lower and lower and lower, and then he hits a ceiling.
It's a ceiling from the room below.
Skeptics with a K from the Merseyside Skeptic Society. Find us on iTunes. Or, don't.
Here's Maynard's spooky action at a distance.
Well, of course, the big awards are being announced here, and Simon, you missed out on the Bent Spoon yet again. You've never won it once.
No, I haven't, but I know a lot of people who are really hanging out for it to go to. Sarah Laurie from the Warburg Foundation, she's a really worthy recipient, but wasn't to get it this year.
No. Now, of course, let's start backwards here. Just when you finished, you said you're in a band, you're going to donate some money to neglected cancers, and you mentioned pancreatic cancers. Now, what other ones would be in that area that people don't think as much because they're not as generally affected?
Look, there are a lot. In fact, if you add up all of the cancers that probably most people have never heard of, collectively, they would get certainly into the top 5. There are a lot of people who sort of will have a cancer of the eye, or some part of the body that you haven't got a big group of people who are collecting money for it, and often there are not a lot of people suffering from that particular one. But if you put them all together, they are together very, very neglected.
Well, I think it's a very interesting one to be raising money for, and it's good. But also a bit difficult too, because it's a group. You can't mention one and everyone pulls at the heartstrings straight away. That's a problem with it, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. I mean, some of the childhood cancers fall into that category. The pancreatic cancer, which I named tonight, is actually a very prevalent cancer and one of the most rapidly fatal, and which we have very, very little answer for. So that is one that, I think affects a lot of people, but very few people will have heard of it. Bowel cancer is quite neglected because, unlike a lot of the other cancers, if you've got, say, a colostomy bag and you're a celebrity or something, you're probably not likely to go out and saying, look, I've got this is the problem I suffer from. It's a messy, unfortunate cancer, but it's one that we can do a lot about.
Well, look, because now, tell everyone what you got your award tonight, and what do you think pushed you over the edge to get it tonight?
Look, I've no idea, but I sometimes have to pinch myself at work, to think that I go to work, get paid as a professor of public health, to be able to look into some of this lunacy that's out there. In public health, we try to sort of get people concerned about things that they should be concerned about and less concerned about things that they shouldn't be concerned about. And I've first got into this area about 15 years ago with mobile telephone towers, which a lot of people were saying, they could cause all sorts of scary things. That turned out not to be true. But with wind turbines, this started happening about 5 or 6 years ago, all the scare stuff about it, and the more and more I looked into it, the less and less I could see that there was any substance to it. And so I've been doing my best to try and really talk about this issue, about the nocebo effect. We've all heard of the placebo effect, which is where, someone says, look, take this, it'll be good for you. Nocebo effect's the opposite, this might harm you. I'm telling you to be on your guard because this might harm you. And I think that's what's operational here.
Look, now, as someone who's involved in public health, do you think, and policy, do you think there's any place for balancing public health and libertarian concerns, or it should be public health all the way?
No, look, I'm most well known from the work that I do in tobacco control, but I probably surprise quite a lot of people listening to this if I say that...
You have a cigarette in your hand right now.
No,
that would really surprise me.
A cigarette, but for example, I was on the Senate of the University of Sydney for 2 terms, and I was one of the people who actually opposed the campus going totally smoke-free. Now, I've got no problem about it going smoke-free indoors, and it has been for many years, but outdoors the evidence is actually very, very poor that someone smoking, say, on an oval or in a boulevard is actually going to be harmful to other people. The evidence isn't there. And so I sort of said, well, hang on a second. It'd be nice, perhaps if there was that evidence, but there isn't, so we really can't push that boundary. And a few people shook their heads and said, well, we could have got this through if you'd supported it. But as it turns out, that now the campus is just about all smoke-free, except for a few smoking areas, and I think that's a good compromise.
What about everyone goes on about, if alcohol was to become something new today, it would never get passed, that sort of thing. How many times have you heard that kind of thing said?
Yeah, look, alcohol is a huge public health problem, but unlike tobacco, where I bless my cotton socks that I decided to specialise in that area because there's really nothing good to be said about tobacco. Alcohol does bring...
Has tobacco got any beneficial things? Is it relaxing people as a smoke, or is it that completely overcome by that?
But it doesn't have a monopoly on that.
A cup of tea.
The idea that it'd be a good idea to, if you want to relax, to take up smoking is just ridiculous. Because there's so many other ways that you can relax. But with alcohol, I think we see. Most people who do drink alcohol don't get into any trouble with it either themselves, and they don't harm society either. They drink responsibly, and I think that's a very important message.
And now, what do you think is the next big challenge then? Obviously, I can see you're going to strap yourself to a wind turbine and get spun around just to prove they are completely safe.
Look, the biggest challenge I think that we face in public health is the challenge of convincing the world that they really need to take global warming very, very seriously. I'm as depressed as a lot of people are about the state of this country's debate about this at the moment, and the erosion of, the credibility of the sort of the whole science because of the spin doctoring and the media concentration, which has been sort of ganging up against it. I think is a really, really big challenge for all of us who are working in science to try and really turn that around.
You think you've got the same problem as with the anti-vaccination movement, where you have someone who has credentials and usually up against them is not so much?
Yeah, that's right. It's been said many times, but I'll say it again, it's worth saying that, if you went along to a doctor and the doctor said, we went along to 99 doctors and they said, yes, you do have a cancer, you need to, we need to operate on this. And you went along to one who said, well, no, you don't. What sort of person would sort of go with the one, And that's the situation we have with global warming and climate change, that we have the overwhelming proportion of scientists who say that this is a big problem and we need to do something about it.
Congratulations on your award. And I imagine a bar tab goes with this, does it? Or, something that's public health friendly?
Well, I don't know. I haven't had that pleasure yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Look, congratulations once again, and thank you for your work.
Thanks a lot.
I've just been wandering aimlessly through the vaults and areas and car parks of the ANU, which is what I usually like to do at this time on a Sunday anyway. But this time I've been doing it with a mission. Who have we got here?
Hi, I'm Cris Kennedy. I'm the director of the CSIRO Discovery Centre.
Yeah, and you've got a great Discovery Centre there. We've been playing in it all weekend.
Yeah, very good. Very hands-on, very fun.
Yeah, and it's really difficult to break as well. It's child-proof.
No, nothing is child-proof. If a child can work out how to break something, they will do it.
And now we're here in the area where the kids aren't normally allowed, and we're in front of this beautiful mural that dates back to the early 60s, and it's about science and the history of it. Please explain in this beautiful mural that not many people get to see.
Yeah, so we're in the foyer of CSIRO Land and Water Laboratory, which was built in 1963, and the wall that we're standing in front of went up first. It's about a 6 by 2 metre wall, and so that while this artist that was commissioned to work on it worked across the year, they built the laboratory around him. So there's great photos of him, in his raincoat or in the Canberra freezing cold in winter in Canberra in 1963. It's a mural. It's called the Land Research Mural, and it was commissioned by Ian Clooney's Ross to communicate the kind of work that was going to be done out of this laboratory. And these the laboratory in 1963, although it's changed purpose over the years, was looking at finding productive agricultural land in Australia in that kind of post-war years, populations rapidly growing. How are we going to feed these people? Where are we going to move them to? So these guys did the very first Ord River feasibility studies, etc. Opened up a lot of that kind of, back of Burke, literally back of Burke land. So the artist is Robert Ingpen, and he became a lot more famous afterwards. He's still alive. He's in his 80s. He does children's books. Peter Pan came out this year. And he designed the Northern Territory flag. He and some chums from CSIRO at that time started the Australian Conservation Foundation. But as you can see, I'm sorry, listeners, a beautiful illustrator. So this is a watercolour mural. And he actually came back last year and did some touch-ups, fixed a few crumbling bits of the mural.
Because now, was this originally designed to be outdoors? Was it an outdoor mural or not?
Oh, no, it was always meant for the foyer, and that's why the colour has been so well preserved over the years. Very vibrant kind of blues and reds and oranges throughout. So in this kind of swirling pattern, he's telling the story of the evolution of scientific thought, of agricultural thought. So what we have over here is kind of the history of or evolution of botany, the evolution of the species. There's a trilobite, and we're going up to man. And then here's agricultural productivity from very early kind of beginning of settlement farming through to contemporary farming.
There's crop rotation.
Yeah. And so also very interestingly, as we kind of segue through the development of the farm, here in 1963 is his computer. What we're looking at is really just a whole bunch of wires in a grid, but this is his idea of that the future of farming is the computer. So he was very aware of what was going on in 1963. It's also a bit fascist because you'll notice he has this very idealised man at the end.
Yes.
And the entire purpose of his mural is population sustainability. That's the question.
Oh, okay. And I don't see a lot of Indigenous population reflected in the mural either.
No, not particularly. But what's for us this weekend, it's the 24th of November now, so 50 years and one day ago, Robert Ingpen was working on this mural. He was painting this section that looks at history of mankind. He just painted the atomic bomb and the skull, and someone came running up from Bruce College across the road where he had been staying to tell him that President Kennedy had been assassinated. So Mr. Ingpen painted a black border around the American flag. He drew the president's car, and then they all went to the pub.
Wow. And there it is. Because you mentioned it earlier, it's just in there as a little snippet in history.
It's just gorgeous. It's tingling, and
it is.
He's been back and told me the story personally. It's very exciting. Exciting piece of artwork that no one gets to see. Very iconic and important, I think.
Oh, Richard Saunders is just here as well, having a look at it there. This is the first time you've seen this, Richard?
Yes, I've heard about this, but it's marvellous to have a look at it, and the details and the colours are so vivid, aren't they? And the more you look at it, the more there is to see. Now, what is it, about 3-4 metres across by maybe 1.5 metres up? So it's not a small piece of work, but it's so complicated. I think you could study this for hours.
Yeah. Well, I think you'll have to get a shot of this to put up online so people can have at least a bit of an idea what we're talking about here visually.
Under the ocean, look at that. If we look down, it's all gone blue, and there's lots of fish and all sorts of
That's the evolution from the sea to man there, that bit. Wow. Actually, what's your favourite part? Apart from that, we had the dramatic bit with the assassination of Kennedy. Is there one bit that you go, that's interesting, people should look at that bit more?
Well, Einstein appears.
Where is he?
This is Einstein with his E = mc squared, holding it up on a chalkboard.
His little table easel.
Yeah. I like this kind of, this almost steampunk, the wheels of society grinding and turning around. But, for me, this... this big scientific question that he's trying to answer is the most exciting. CSIRO did a number of studies over that kind of intervening 50 years and one day since he painted this, and asking what is the sustainable population of a country like Australia. Obviously, it changes and evolves. A few years ago, some of those studies were saying the number is something closer to 14 million. Of course, we've gone way past that, and so that's why the work that's being done in this building is so important, because technology's changed to help us change the answer to that question, I think.
Look, and it's and also, if you worked here, you would tend to get used to it and walk past it almost every day, but you seem to be in awe of it, even though you do see it fairly often.
Oh, I think it's beautiful. In fact, at one point in the 70s, so there's a little guardrail protecting it from people, although people do tend to use the guardrail to lean up on. At one point in the 70s, I'm told, they talked about putting masonite over it to protect it, and turning this area into an office, which would have been a travesty. It's lovely that it's still around and so gorgeous.
I love the idea that putting it behind a wall certainly would protect it well and truly, but then within 10 years, anyone might forget it's even there.
Yeah. What I think is that Ingpen talked about when he came up here. He said this is kind of the original PowerPoint. The idea behind this was, you had in the 60s, you have a client in your office, you're trying to explain, some agricultural technique or scientific concept. Pre-computers, drag them out into the foyer, point to the mural. Let's talk about, crop rotation. Let's talk about whatever. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Look, thank you for showing us this. This is great. Thank you.
Welcome.
Now, of course, what I like to do at every convention is to get around and talk to the people that are presenting, but also talk to the people that are just here to have a look around. Who have we got?
Dan Buzzard.
And what's your interest here? You're a long-time skeptic, fellow traveller, just a general troublemaker?
General troublemaker for the anti-vaxxers.
Now that obviously is a passion that burns with you. How did you get involved with it? Why did you decide, okay, I have to stand up and say something?
Well, that started in 2010 when Mel Dory came to Perth and received a lot of media attention from...
Oh, yes, I remember that. Did she end up presenting anywhere? Because she was at one stage claiming that she was under threat.
She did end up presenting at the State Library. It was at the time that she was receiving a lot of negative attention from the HCCC that had recently revoked their charity fundraising licence. And that's when I first got involved. And, it all started from there. And then 2012, she tried to obtain a court order against myself, Peter Bowditch, and Daniel Raphael to silence us on the internet, which was only resolved in August of this year, resulting in her paying the $11,000 in my legal expenses.
So has this in any way slowed you down in your activism?
No. If anything, the fact that she's trying to silence myself and the others, it just shows that we are eventually getting to her and having an effect on her organisation.
And now, have you ever met the woman? Have you ever actually had a chance to have a word with her at all?
No, I've only ever once been in the same building as her, which was during her seminar in 2010.
And what did you make of the seminar? You were there obviously taking notes. Now, did you stand up and say anything at the time, put your hand up or anything at the question time at the end, was there?
No, at that point I just left. There's only so much of Dory that one can take.
So what are you looking at next? Is there some other issue on the net that you feel like you might like to take on? I mean, you've been a bit of a single issue so far, and I can certainly understand you concentrating on that, but want to spread your wings a little bit?
Yes, I think homeopathy continues to be a problem.
And what do you see is the major problem with it? It's people just hydrating themselves. If indeed there is nothing in there, they're just having a drink of water, basically, aren't they?
No, it's when someone such as Francine Scrahan in Perth convinces one of their patients or their victims to give up conventional cancer treatment in favour of sugar pills, and then the patient ultimately dies as a result.
And what is the main way you want to act against that?
I haven't decided what the best approach for this one is yet.
Yeah. Is there a central forum? Is the organisation similarly based to the AVN?
No, they do have a homeopathic association, but they seem to be much more independently operating than the anti-vaxxers, which makes it harder to target.
Okay. Well, I think we'll be talking to you about something like this at next year's conference, I feel.
Yes, hopefully there'll be some progress on homeopathy.
Hey, this is Jay Novella from the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe podcast. Did you know that there are thousands of skeptical reports, interviews, and investigations going back to 1981, free to download? Just visit www.skeptics.com.au. Click the publications link and enjoy almost every back issue of The Skeptic, the journal from Australian Skeptics. You can also subscribe online and get the latest digital or hard copy of this, the world's second oldest skeptical magazine. That's www.skeptics.com.au or just Google Australian Skeptics.
Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone on this hot day in Sydney and around Australia. I'm just having a look over to the corner there. The TV's got the news on. Victorian Fire's emergency warnings going on right now as I speak. Coming up on the Skeptic Zone in the coming weeks, even more from Maynard at the National Convention with more insights and interviews. Wow. I knew he was busy at the time, my friends, but when I look down a list of interviews he's actually given me, it's staggering. I don't think he actually made it to bed at all. He must have been up all night interviewing people. And again, thank you to all the people who sponsored Maynard, chipped in a little bit of money to cover his costs in Melbourne. It was fantastic. A great use of your contribution, as you now know, over the weeks and weeks of wonderful interviews from Maynard. Thank you, Maynard. And if you want to help produce the Skeptic Zone, just go to www.skepticzone.tv. Up the top there's a link, and for just 99 cents a week you can really help the Skeptic Zone via micropayments with PayPal. Well, it's time for me to have another slug of this ice water. It's disappearing fast. And I'll look forward to your company next week on the Skeptic Zone, but for now, this is Richard Saunders, signing off from a very hot and steamy Sydney, Australia.
You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone. Visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for comments, contacts, and extra video reports.